Saurabh Mukherjee of Ambit joins in to talk about that. Saurabh, good morning. We've had a difficult start to the month. What's your sense of how things are trending? Is the market set for some risk-off and correction?
I think the conviction that growth is recovering, I think, is gradually coming in there. Clearly, it is a weak recovery, but I think there is a belief coming through that with the combination of some consumer confidence coming back with RBI rate cuts, growth is coming back. The main concern, the main FII concern, is on the exchange rate front, and that concern, I think, is hard to allay, given that the current account deficit numbers remain fairly bleak. So positive news on the growth front, concerns on the currency front. I think that's the battle we are fighting at the moment, and that's why the market seems to stay range bound. Our belief is that the market will break out decisively in the coming months and move towards our target of Sensex 23,000 by the year end.
Saurabh, hi, good morning. Just talking about the concern on the rupee, for the third time in the last 1 month, the RBI came out with an fresh curb on gold imports yesterday. There's some talk of raising the FII debt limit ceiling as well. Do you think all these measures would work in allaying concerns?
I think my reading is the authorities are trying everything they possibly can to deal with the CAD situation. I don't think anybody quite understands why gold activity continues to see such strength, gold buying continues to see such strength, but it's something which is worrying our authorities, and I think you will see numerous measures rolled out in the coming weeks unless gold demand pulls off. This is the main concern which is holding the market back.
Saurabh, tactically, how are you approaching the market this month? Is it your sense that all this liquidity debate might exert some more pressure on the market as also lead to some outflows, or do you guys sense that this level is a good buying opportunity?
I think we continue believing, like we have done over the last 8-9 months, we continue believing that the Indian market is worth buying. There's good value out there. There are good companies out there to buy. And I think that the main change in tack that we are bringing about is we'll focus increasingly on cyclicals this point in. So far we've been using a good and clean strategy which has worked very well for us. We've beaten the index by a good 22 percentage points over the last couple of years. But going forward, as our conviction builds up that the economy is turning, we will focus increasingly on cyclicals, and sectors such as real estate, such as auto, construction, light industrials will become an increasingly bigger part of our model portfolio moving forward.
What's the premise behind that, Saurabh? Because the earnings season that we wrapped up didn't bear too much strength or optimism for many of these sectors. Many are riddled with debt problems still. What makes you more confident about pockets like that?
So there's three drivers to our thinking here. The first is that typically in a pre-election year, cyclicals do tend to do well because there's a whole focus on policy momentum on the other side of the elections, and as elections approach, cyclicals tend to have a better time of it than structural defensives do. The second is the RBI has already cut by 75 bips, and my hunch is that given how moderated the inflation outlook has become, there's a good 75 bips of further cuts in the pipeline. If in the space of 12 months we have 150 bips of rate cuts, I think that's a fairly powerful catalyst for especially for the beleaguered cyclicals to find some strength. The third aspect is a more global phenomenon that we are approaching. If you see around the world, what's very notable in the developed markets is there's been a shift away from the defensive plays, their IT plays, names such as Apple, such as Microsoft, towards cyclicals. So US financials, for example, have done very well over the last few months. And my reading is around the world, as conviction picks up that the growth momentum is coming through in the US, it's coming through in Japan, in the UK. As growth momentum picks up in the West, there'll be a more global shift, more decisive shift globally towards cyclicals, and I think Indian cyclicals will benefit from that. The one main exception I have to say is banks. We remain convinced that Indian banks, especially the private sector banks, are overvalued, and that's probably the one major bunch of cyclicals we are advising clients to steer clear of. But that apart, rest of cyclicals, I think choose good names, choose attractively valued names. There's plenty out there to buy in cyclicals, and I think that'll form the main prong of our attack between now and the elections.
The start of May saw some tremendous enthusiasm in the market, Saurabh, but there was so much talk about this market getting to an all-time high, etc. After what you've seen in the last 1 month, would you write off the all-time highs for our markets anytime soon, or do you think this could be in the offing?
We've seen these bouts of euphoria in the last couple of years several times. I think February was also a very similar period. October last year, October, November last year, we had another sort of mini bout of euphoria. And what we try to do is maintain a relatively sort of stable keel, a positive bias in the market, a view that the Indian market is significantly undervalued, and the view that there are good stocks out there to buy. Sensex 23,000 remains our view. I'm sure we will go through these bouts of euphoria again between now and the elections. For example, if the land acquisition bill comes through as a presidential ordinance in the next month or so, there could again be a bout of euphoria that the government could generate policy momentum this side of the election. But I think it's worth taking a more moderated view of the market, that there'll be some policy movement but not a great deal. There'll be some pickup in the investment cycle but not a rampant one. Overall GDP will trend upwards, the economic situation will improve, and the market will grind its way to 23,000. And it's best not to get carried away by these momentary bouts of euphoria, nor to get too depressed by reads such as the 50-month low and PMI and so on. Keep a moderated view that the Indian economy is improving, and buy high quality names. You will make money.
Okay, so talking about some of these high quality names, I understand that you find Tata Motors and L&T very attractive, both technically and fundamentally. Take us through the rationale behind those two names.
Sure. So beginning with L&T, clearly the order book situation in terms of the gap between what they promised and what they delivered isn't particularly pretty. But my reading is between now and elections, you will get, especially the public sector companies, the public sector enterprises announcing major orders. This is the ONGCs, the NTPCs, Coal India type companies announcing major orders. And if you look at the construction sector in our country, there's really one large company left with a balance sheet strong enough to take on big orders, and that's L&T. So whilst I don't see meaningful pickup in order execution this side of the elections, I think order book build-up will come through in FY14, and L&T is the best bet in our country to benefit from that pickup in the order cycle. Moving on to the auto sector, really we've got two sets of plays that we have focused on. One is Maruti and Bajaj, which have done very well. Maruti especially has done very well in the last 8 months since we turned buyers in August. But if you were to take a valuation look at Maruti, given how quickly it's run up from 800 to double that number now, you might want to look at Tata Motors from a valuation perspective. My read is that as the domestic economy improves and as the domestic CV market improves, Tata Motors obviously is a natural beneficiary of that. And we draw tremendous encouragement from the fact that JLR has gone from strength to strength in the last couple of years. In totality, the domestic plus international business, I think Tata Motors is attractively valued. With Maruti looking relatively full valued for the near term, I would focus on Tata Motors as a recovery play in auto. I would look at L&T in the construction sector. And the third sector I think it's worth thinking about is oil and gas, where ONGC will remain our strongest pick as a play on the oil and gas reform cycle that we are seeing unwind quite steadily through the last 6 months. And my sense is oil and gas reforms will continue for the next 6 months as well, and ONGC is our favorite play on that.